episode had me a little shaky. Like, you dosed your friend. You are not remorseful at all.
He was like cool about it the whole time.
I think
He's
Tom,
like laughing at it.
I think Segura was right though that like Ari just is acting out that he's not remorseful. Like he probably really did care. He probably really felt bad. But just like at that point, there's no turning back.
And then you like hear him explain what it was like being on the mall. I think it's funnier that he had Joey Diaz come over and he's like, they're like telling him stories with like the sunset. You would already had the heart attack. Don't even worry about it. If you're gonna have a stroke, you would already had it. Like, okay, cool, Uncle Joey. I'm listening to you. Let's just roll with this.
Dude,
so
Joey seems like a fucking cool person to hang out with. Probably a little bit too hardcore for me, but
yeah, because it's not. There's no shut off.
Yeah.
Like when it's always like that.
He's like right in my fucking lane. We're right in the gutter together.
I can see that.
Yeah, that's the craziest part about those guys is like, yeah. All right, how should we? Just just rip it like we always do.
We got no expectations.
Just introduce.
Just whatever.
All right, so I get names right. Last name I know it's
Chee.
Connor Chee.
Garret Bradford.
Garret Bradford. All right, I'm gonna try.
Garret Bradford sounds like the most white name ever too.
Yeah.
Dude, right? And
Connor Chee sounds like he's gonna teach you piano and karate.
Are you
all
Sam
in the same
Bradford?
lesson.
I got that. Having the name Connor Chee and then also deciding like to be like classical pianist.
Dude, I was at
I'm
the
gonna
bar.
whoop your ass if you don't book me.
It was just an assumed thing. Like this guy's Asian.
Isn't that a good thing though? Because Asians like they start real young and they're like forced into it. They're probably prodigies.
Dude, yeah, basically exactly what you did.
Maybe we're onto something here. Maybe.
I mean, you were.
There was. One time I was in the World Piano Competition, and I think the director like wanted to make a point that I was Native American because they get so many people that they don't never get Native Americans competing in the World Piano Competition. And because of my name, so they were like, they wanted to make this announcement. So they told the judge, like, make sure you let them know that he's like Native American. And he made this weird, and I didn't know they were doing this. I came on stage and about to play, and he's like, and Connor wants us to know that he is born in the United States and he's an American citizen or something weird. And I was like, God. So they were like, oh, so he's like, his parents were from China and he was born here.
Oh, wait. So wait.
Not that it mattered anyway, but it was like, it definitely threw me off before, like walking out. Everybody else, it was like silent. They do their bow and like you play with me. And it was like, by the way, Connor Chee wants everyone to know that.
By the way you started that sentence, you're like, yeah, so I was like competing in the world piano competitions this one time. Like, no, like I was, like my parents brought me this thing and I shut up there and there was like all these people.
They dropped me off.
They were like, you're competing for like, first prize. And I was just like in the world's piano competition.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever, dude.
I was learning algebra and shit, and then I just, that was a prodigy.
It was like 17 and under, so it's not that big of a deal.
Arthur's on at 5, so let's fucking get this over with.
Oh my God. So, another crazy episode of the Bernie Dyke podcast. I got some special guests today. I got Connor Chee, right? Did I say it right? Connor Chee and Garret Bradford. And with their powers combined, they form Wildcat Peak. And if you don't know who that is, well, I didn't either until they told me. And now that I know, you need to know about them. So welcome to the Bernie Dyke podcast, guys. Keegs and Kota, episode 1 million. And we're out here just doing it.
Working, huh?
We're busy guys, bro.
Cranking them out.
We get like Tyrone on your shirt over there, and they just keep going.
Yeah, we put out like 788,000 last night.
Breathing all the white man's there. White power.
Once you have a peanut butter and crack sandwich, bro, you can pump out like 15 episodes. This is what like it's amazing.
Arthur Bigsby, man, he's great.
That's crazy.
So let's start off the first portion of this podcast, sticking with the music, with where we all started from. So Wildcat Peak. I thought was real interesting. You guys only got 3 tracks out right now. I want to ask you guys in a few minutes what the future plan is right now, like for putting out more music. But starting off first, where did you guys get like influence from? Because when I listened to the 3 tracks you got on Apple Music and you have on YouTube, you've got 86040, which is the zip code for Page, Arizona.
Page AZ.
I actually love that song. I love the reggae vibe to it. What you're singing about is like it's almost
don't
like you
get too far in.
took the surfer stuff and kind of turned it into like a Page thing. But and then
you guys are like it's interesting because your group's not like a typical band.
It's just
right?
2 of
It's
us.
just
yeah,
the
it's
2
just
of
us
you.
2, like,
You guys are related, right? You cousins?
man.
Cousins,
Cousins,
okay.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Grew
so
up in the same town,
That's
Brothers,
because
like,
to listen to it.
Navajo way, we're brothers.
So Navajo, there you go. So that makes
go.
that's even tighter bond right there. It's crazy because like when you listen to it, like any of the songs, it doesn't sound like it's just you two knocking out some like hits, dude. It
Yeah.
doesn't sound like that. It sounds like you got some people in that room doing stuff. So obviously you guys are playing more than one instrument. You're taking care of more than one thing at a time.
For sure.
And you started this isn't new to you. You've been doing music for a long time. So where did you started playing piano when you were how old?
I started playing piano when I was about 5. I started getting lessons when I was about 6 years old. Yeah.
So at 6 years old, you're already playing piano, which that was one of the biggest things I always wanted to be able to do growing up. I just seeing people just fluidly run across those keys.
Reading sheet
yeah.
music.
Yeah, and just make it, and being able to put like, it's kind of like a guitar, same thing. Like when you can just put your own expression from how you feel across those keys, it speaks so much more than a lot of other instruments because it's just so many things that you can do. And so that's always been super impressive to me. But I mean, you didn't just play, like you've been pretty big deal for you.
I mean, it was a big part of my life. Like I spent most of my musical career, piano, classical piano. I played competitively for a while and went to school for music. But after all of that, like after I got my master's degree, after graduating, it was kind of do I want to go back, back to school and get my doctorate? Do I want to teach, or do I want to? And I've kind of moved away from that straight and narrow path. You know what I mean? I was like, I want something else. I love playing piano. I'll always do it, and I still do. Compose. Solo piano stuff. But I also wanted to look more into like producing other types of music. Getting into other genres.
Yeah, because it's totally different. I listened to some of your back catalog, and it's super cool. And I like what you were talking about. You can definitely fall asleep to some of that stuff, and it's very relaxing. But then you listen to some of the stuff that you guys are doing now, which still has a very relaxing vibe, which Dakota was just like expressing. Has got that nice California.
Yeah, like that.
Cruising
that was,
down Long Beach.
When I listen to those 3 songs, that's the first thing I notice is like. The one song that's got no like vocals on it, it pretty much sounds like a hip hop beat, kind of like it's got some real fat bass to it.
Car Bomb?
Yeah, Car Bomb,
Yeah.
which was like the original name that you guys are gonna use, right?
Originally, yeah.
That was our first song, or the first song that we actually wrote in the studio.
What was the first song that we finished?
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
like we were saying earlier, there's been a lot of like artistic journeys that we had to go through to get to the point that we were at.
Yeah,
but
like hiking to the top of Wildcat Peak or
You
something.
know what I mean?
Mentally,
Mentally, for sure.
have you guys been to Page? Have you guys been up there?
I've been there. I couldn't really tell you much
So
about it.
you
I think I've been through Page.
Yeah, I've been through Page a couple
You guys
times.
know Lake Powell and all that.
Yep.
Dude, so I mean that was our big thing for 860 We're sitting outside drinking beers, chilling, and that's our home, man. And just the water, being out there on the water, man. There's something about just being out there. There's something that you get from just being out there on the water, floating, and just So that's kind of where that song came from.
You found a way to put it to paper.
Yeah.
So well, the thing I thought was interesting. So the Car Bomb sounds like a hip hop beat. It's got like this fat bass and like it's definitely like a driven beat. And then you've got 86040, this like kind of little bit psychedelic, like
Definitely. Yeah.
It's got a 311 vibe.
It's
to
got
it.
a 311.
That's what I've been trying to pin. Like
the real calm.
I've been trying to do that for 2 days
The
straight.
real calm part of like 311 is what that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, which,
and then
that's
and then
a win
Awake,
in my book right there. Because
and then Awake,
311, oh, yeah.
and then your other song Awake like is not hip hop nor the reggae vibe to it. It's got like this kind of slow pop vibe. So it's real hard to tell right now from the start like where your influence is and where you guys are heading with it, because you've got like this hip hop thing, you've got the pop thing, and then you've got the reggae thing, and
Well,
it's
that
like
shit,
I'm curious to see.
Awake, that shit sound like something that was on the radio in like early 2000s. I was like stopped for a second, like did they remake a song? Like what are
I'll
they
take
doing?
it, yeah.
Well, no, because it sounded familiar instantly, and if
Yeah.
you,
It
you
sounded
make
like
music, you understand when you can do that and emulate a sound or emulate something that you didn't steal anything, but it triggers that point in your brain that makes you. Now I'm digging in my brain, like, what is that's reminding me of? I've heard this before.
You're kind
it
of
sounds
pulling the
great.
song from nostalgia, like the sounds you make.
But
the
that burns
things
it
that
into
come
you
in are
because
nostalgic.
I was singing. I don't want to wake up in this house, and that's like the official Monday. I don't know if anybody's told y'all this. The
Dude,
official Monday song.
yeah.
I posted the video of my dog getting pissed off at me yesterday because he didn't want me to wake him up because I had to flip the light on, and I was playing your song, and I kept putting it up to his face.
So I mean
He's Monday, man.
That
Just leave me alone.
song, I mean, probably a lot of people might think it's kind of dark, but I mean, there's many different aspects to that song that you can take from it. Like, I think we kind of wrote that song like some people are probably feeling down and, you know, they literally don't want to wake up, or it's a fucking Monday morning and you're like, oh shit, I gotta go to work now. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
wake up.
One of your lyrics in there is like something like, isn't my shift over, or is it my shift soon?
Isn't it the end of my shift?
Yeah, the end of my shift, which is the opposite of wake up. Like, it isn't the end of
We'll go
my
back to
shift.
But it is. That's when you wake
Oh,
up,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
How many
Yeah,
times you crushed the whole workday and then the ended and you walked out and you were like, I'm alive.
I'm
Here
outta
we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can be who I want to be. Like,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know,
there
man.
you go. That makes sense now.
Hey, man.
It's definitely so.
It goes deeper.
I got to ask you, you guys got some more stuff in the bank or what?
We have the thing is
Don't give me 3 and just walk away on me
No.
like that.
we've got
No.
a ton of stuff that we start. Like I have no
You
idea.
probably
how
have
many,
like 15,
Pro
20
Tools-
songs
yeah.
in the
More than
computer
that.
right now.
More than
Sounds
that.
like my honey-do list.
And it's just kind of when we finish a song, it's just we come back to one for whatever reason. We're inspired to finish something, and
I'd
we
like
come
to
back
show you
and,
my logic.
and you go back and finish it. So we've got a bunch of stuff, and then if we do have like a deadline we set for ourselves, or okay, we're gonna get this much finished by this time, then that's a motivator to finish something we started. But I think a lot of the time we're starting new stuff, we get excited about it, and then we have a new idea, so we start something new. So we have a ton of stuff that we're getting together. We've got some stuff we finished. We got a new album that we're working on. We're not sure when we're going to release it yet, but
Yeah.
You ever bring people in to just kind of sit down and listen, maybe re-spark something for you, or say, hey, that one really, that might be it. And you were like, oh, I was tucking that.
See, that's the problem is, we write stuff, and at the time, sometimes it's like, dude, this is going to be the shit. And then we'll come in the next day, and it's like, I don't know. We'll wait on that
come back
one.
to that.
We'll come back to that.
I mean, any good artist is their own worst critic. So,
well, I
Yeah,
mean,
for
Awake.
sure.
I mean, we started that. We did just some real basic stuff, and there was not even really any lyrics at first. And we let it sit for a while. Did a bunch of other stuff, and then came back to it like, hey, let's really dig into this and finish it up.
Yeah, one thing I really like too with Awake and 86040 is like how well you guys layered the instrumentals on there, because there's definitely like it's technical and complex, like how the instruments are layered, which isn't surprising from you. Like you compose and you've been playing piano for like your whole entire life. It's layered really well, but it's not too busy. It's not, there's not too much noise going on. Like you manage to keep the tracks like kind of low and slow, but when you break down the layers of instruments that are there, you're like, wow, there actually is more going on here than what it sounds like. Like the guitar comes in on 86040, the pianos are there, the guitars, like everything layers really good. And it was like kind of surprising once you sit and listen to it a couple times, especially like in my vehicle. Like I have a pretty nice sound system in there, and I can really pick it apart a lot better than you can in like some just regular earbuds or something like that. And that's one thing I really appreciated about it. It was like it was
I
layered.
appreciate that, man. Just hearing that from you, because I mean, it's hard. It's like you said, like the artist is their worst critic sometimes, and it's just like, you know what? It got to a point where I think this is what we've always wanted to do. Obviously, like even me when I was a kid, like music has always been a part of my life. Like I remember when I was a kid, my dad would record us doing karaoke. I have CDs in my car of me like 7 years old singing.
Wait, you have what? What are those CDs? What are those?
Isn't that like
I don't know how to explain
what are they?
that.
I think they
I know
call
where
them
to- I know where to get
shims
them.
now. You put them under stuff to like
Dude,
prop them
yeah.
up. Yeah.
You guys still got CDs? You guys still got
Dude, they
CDs?
don't even. That doesn't even have a drive on it for a CD. I have
Yeah,
to tell
tape-
people to try to give me a CD. I'm like, I don't have anything
tapes
to
have
play
side
it.
A and B, so their predecessor would be CD.
I got the dual CD and tape deck in my car.
Oh,
Dude,
No, I don't.
Get out of here.
so some of them, like one of I mean, you could play those at like a festival or even something that was more upbeat and just add a heavy bass line to it at like a certain drop point in it, and those songs would still play great on stage for something like a festival crowd. Or if you got the night show, if you got like a later, where people were kind of chilling and going from stage to stage. Have you guys looked at doing any shows or?
I was just thinking for a live show, don't you guys need a couple more people, like to do backup band basically?
We were talking about it. I mean, there's always ways around stuff or rearranging stuff or you know what I
DJ.
mean?
Well, you could have help. I
Yeah.
mean, shit,
Yeah.
you could always call us. We could come in and help.
Dude,
There we
I
go.
mean,
That ain't a
Do
problem.
a
Let's go.
cowbell.
Let's do it.
I figure it out pretty quick. You show me what needs to be done, and it makes. I already know most of it. So as long as if you just need help making sure that needs to get turned up, because that's the hardest part when there's two of you. is
Yeah.
making sure all your levels are right,
Yeah.
and it might seem right until everybody starts making noise. You might not expect them to make. Maybe they don't make noise, and now you're too loud. You got to
Yeah.
But that's one thing. When I heard your music, I was like, they need to be playing some kind of festivals. Like y'all
South by
need
Southwest.
to. And before we get too far down the road, too, you are on the ballot. How does that work? You're on a ballot for a Nammy. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Native American Music Awards.
So that's a pretty friggin' big deal.
Yeah, we got 2 nominations. So after they do the nominations, then the voting's open to public. It's open right now, so the public can go in and the Native American Music Awards website. There's the whole ballot with all the
Can we get a link to that or whatever so we can share it on the page?
Yeah,
that would be great because
for sure.
I did a little research on it last night because I was interested in what it was, which seems like it's a pretty big honor to even be nominated.
It's an awesome show. It's an awesome.
But do you guys fit it? Like, I was kind of looking at some of the other songs that were in that area,
Yeah,
which that actually excites me even more because I like to see that, and I think that makes bigger waves because there's a lot of young Native American kids coming up that they might not like. The other stuff's probably not for them. Where your music definitely falls into the category.
I think
You're relatable.
we kind of like that different vibe. You know what I mean? We're not really trying to be like anyone. I mean, obviously we have our influences and stuff like that, but just I don't know.
Yeah, but I didn't know what to expect. Like, if you do any research, right? There's not a ton, but there's some information on you guys. So you're harder to find. He's a little bit easier.
Oh, yeah.
But
Dude.
everything you find on him gives you this impression that, like, okay,
Can we?
this is gonna be like like a heavy piano. Because at first I had to like listen, like, all right, he's playing more than like, what is he using over here? That's not. He's not just playing like
So
a Steinway on the stage.
Can we backtrack just a little bit?
I move quick.
No. We all moved real quick right there. But I wanted to backtrack to Connor real quick because he was like, yeah, I went this and this, and I graduated from here, and I didn't know if I wanted to get like my doctorate or this and that.
You got a
You
master's.
skipped over like your entire upbringing of your life, which I think is super interesting, and I think for anyone listening is gonna be like, wait, how the fuck did you find this guy? So like, so.
People still wonder
So when
how
when
anybody comes in.
so
this
like when
room,
I had looked you up originally, or I didn't even know Garrett's name actually. He just told me the band name, and we work for like competitors at work.
Yeah.
And fuck that guy.
Fuck this guy.
And so I looked up Wildcat Peak, and then I saw Connor Chee, and I was like, oh, maybe his name's Connor. And then I looked up, and like, that's not him. That must be his cousin. And then I started looking you up, and I was like, whoa, like this is first of all something that I'd never thought I would come across this person. And for one. And second of all, when I told Keegan about it, he was like, okay, like, is this guy gonna be like super like formal pianist? Like,
Absolutely.
exactly what you're getting.
Is this podcast gonna be like a little bit different than what we're used to? And I just thought it was amazing. You started super young. You like won the world piano competition at like a young age, and then you got to perform at Carnegie Hall. And then how many competitions like that have you gone into and won?
I mean, I was in the World Piano Competition, the Young Artists, when I was first time I did it. I was 12. I did it, I think 4 times. I got a couple golds.
And for the Young Artist competition, that's under 18.
Yeah.
So you won 4 of them between 12 and 18, basically.
Yeah.
And you played at Carnegie Hall, which that in itself is like just something that like a lot of music and a lot of musicians and artists would never even fathom or get to experience.
It was an amazing opportunity. I'm always grateful for that. It's an amazing place, and playing piano, it's an amazing instrument. That's one thing about playing piano is you're at the mercy of whatever instrument you show up to play. You know what I mean? I've played some pretty terrible instruments, and you have to work with what you have. But to be able to play at Carnegie Hall, you have this wonderful Steinway. It's an amazing instrument. So that was a huge opportunity. I'm super grateful for it.
That's insane. Yeah. And that like brings me back to I was talking about how you guys layered the instruments, and like I can tell the music technically wise is layered really well. And I saw other stuff of yours when I was looking you up that you've composed like actual like compositions, like shows. I'm like, oh, it makes sense that music is just like such on point, and it's really tight. Like I said, it doesn't sound too busy. It's not like a punk rock song where everything's just layered and slammed over each other and it sounds messy. It's like there's actually a lot of layers to your music, but it's all very tight and crisp, and it stays like in the same tempo and in the same flow to where you don't notice there's that much going on in the background.
Well, and you can't tell, like, again, with your background, that music doesn't give you 100%. Like, I still was not sure. You know what I mean? Like I listened to it, I'm like, okay, so he's probably not singing. So it's probably him that's singing because, you know, that's how a band works is he's doing something. So I was like, I'm still not sure how how this is going to be for him. He's been in so many prestigious places. He's done things like that. Like, then I watched your music video and I was like, oh, cool, man. These guys are going to be awesome. I was so excited. And I posted it for anybody that hasn't watched it.
We appreciate it, man.
No, man. I was so happy when I saw that. I was like, because I didn't know. Like, I had no idea. I didn't look at your age. I didn't look at any of that stuff. I just looked at, like, the basic, what it was, listening to the music. And I was just like, okay.
That shirt though, had to be in the music video because we found that his.
We decided to start filming that we'd been planning the music video for a while, talking about stuff, and then our schedules they rarely line up. It's like once, maybe 2 days a week or every couple weeks. So it was kind of last minute. Like we're gonna shoot this today. Like we've got the location, we've got the time. Let's meet in an hour. And it was like, what are we gonna wear? So I was like tearing through my closet because I don't know what the hell I was going to wear for a music video. And I thought my roommate had this shirt, the original Boss Babe. I'm like, okay, that's it.
That's it.
That's the one.
I had originally gone to with my girlfriend. We went to Goodwill, and I was like, dude, what do you got for me? And I found I found this.
You came up with a
He's
vest.
like, Goodwill was like a dude. Like, you went to Goodwill's house, like, hey, Goodwill. What you got, bro?
What
And he
you
was
got,
like,
man?
over here.
He's like,
clearance
bro,
rack.
I got this red vest and this skeleton one-piece suit. I was like, dude, that's it. Went to a dollar store and found some glasses. It's like, dude, we don't take ourselves too seriously. You know what I mean? And
Don't ever lose that.
yeah.
Seriously, I mean, no matter what, don't ever, you don't know, man. There was a girl that said, catch me outside and tried to fight Dr. Phil. Uncle Phil. Tried to fight Dr. Phil. She probably fought Uncle
They
Phil,
caught
too.
her outside, too.
And they caught her. and
Phil
the bitch is
arrest her
still
ass.
making more money than all of us combined. And so you don't know, and my point is you don't have to go that direction, but you don't know at what point.
We might.
Hashtag
It
Dr.
works.
Phil.
I mean, original Boss Babe. You never
We
know.
need to have a talk, Mr. Phil.
Mr. Phil.
So yeah, it's crazy because when I watched the video, I was just like, all right, these dudes are really chill. They're enjoying themselves, and that's what made me I was so excited. I even told my wife we watched it twice, and I was laughing, and I was just like, I'm so relieved that I don't have to come in and be really structured because I don't like to structure this thing. I like to just kind of have a conversation with everybody. Typically, it seems more organic. Everybody gets to have fun.
Yeah.
But I will do it the other way because I'm never about to turn down somebody that's got accolades and has earned it. They've earned that position to be able to talk about what they've done. So it was exciting to see that you kind of have both of those sides where you get to talk about it. You're very humble about it because let me tell you right now, I would be at every big resort, when you go
I'd be
to
trying to get my dick sucked
DoubleTree.
everywhere.
Yeah, when you go to
Hey,
the
baby.
DoubleTree, the Hyatt at Gainey Ranch, and they got that big badass piano right down there. I would just be strolling by, and I would be like, you,
Hey,
all
check
your
this
wives, all your wives out there. Bernie Dyke podcast coming straight to you. I mean, but that's
I know I'm not Bill Clinton, but there's a dick you could suck in this room that, I got some accolades, okay?
Oh, Hillary.
I just think that's always been one of the most impressive things to me is anybody. There's 3 things that I've always been intrigued with is piano, guitar, and skateboarding.
Dude.
Because you look at any of those things and you better you better be good.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're either gonna suck, sound like shit, or get hurt. And
It's
piano, man, you suck. You can get hurt.
it's really interesting. What was the video that you just put out, the Gila Monster? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. You watch the Gila Monster, and that's like a traditional, a Native American. You did piano. It's got I can just picture as soon as it starts up, the eagle flying over. You're this is all right. I can see where we're going here. And you're in the middle. You're in the desert, next to a big plateau and stuff. And it's a great video, shot great, and obviously the piano in it speaks for itself.
That was.
But then you go and you watch the video of Wildcat Peak, and you're like, wait, it's the same dude. This is wild. All
Dude,
right.
so
The progression is amazing with this one.
Where he filmed that was out at my grandpa's house, and it was actually probably.
It was right next to Wildcat Peak.
Right next to Wildcat Peak.
I mean, that's why we
And-
came with the name. That's
inspiration.
where we grew up.
I mean, it's
yeah.
Right next
kind
to
of a cool
Wildcat Peak.
name too. It's a wild. Look at this Wildcat. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's something.
Bro,
dig it, man.
and y'all could be some wildcats that are about to peak.
Who knows?
You know what I mean?
peeking.
There's so many. Yeah,
peeking.
I'm peeking right now. Dude, did you
As long
guys
as the
ever
levels aren't peaking.
grow up or have family on the res?
Oh yeah.
We still do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we thought in our childhood we spent a lot of time. I mean, we grew up in Page, like mostly. You know, we spent a lot of time on the res. That's where our grandparents lived. We have a couple places, home sites out there, right by Wildcat Peak, Red Lake area, Tonalea. So we spent a bunch of time together there as kids. You know, we parted ways for a while when I moved, you know, East Coast to go to school and stuff. But moved back here, we reconnected and sort of,
Yeah,
you know, finished what we started when we were kids. We were both into music as kids and always, you know, doing creative stuff.
Yeah. So what do you play again,
My
Garrett?
so my dad got me my very first instrument I got was a fucking Gibson Les Paul
Oh, shit.
studio.
He bought
Yeah.
you like a $1,200 guitar.
I think he bought it off some drug dealer that needed some money or something like that. I don't know, but that was the first guitar
to be
I got.
totally racist,
Yeah,
it was
it
a guy
don't-
that needed more money at the casino on the res, and he was like, "I'll fucking buy it, dude."
I
But,
got you, $50.
But yeah, I got that. But yeah, I started off actually classical music too, just like Connor. I played the stand-up bass, man. Yeah, I started
Oh, wow.
in 6th grade.
Fretless.
I was fretless, the stand-up, and I was like, should I do this, or are people gonna like me if I?
Can you still play it?
I can still play it,
Bro.
So
Are we gonna get like one of these days? I want to see it in in a music video, and because you don't even have to play it in the song.
I'm
you,
down.
You could play it. Any one of you could. You throw it on a keyboard and just use it.
they're just so expensive, man. I wish I could afford one.
We can
but-
rent one for a day to shoot a
we-
video. That's what I'm saying. We
if you,
can rent
if
one
you
for
rent
a
an
day.
electric one, you can always throw like a pedal on it
Dude.
and like some synthesizers and make it sound different.
We need to hang out more, man.
Actually,
I feel like
actually,
I got
know,
all these ideas. I feel like Jack Black in
I
that
know.
movie. I got all these ideas, man.
Right?
I know somebody who
shirt
has a
with a
stand-up
woo.
bass actually.
Really?
Yeah, he's actually a musician that, musically wise, has actually decent accolades right now too. I've talked about him once before. I want to get him on. He has a bluegrass country band,
Yeah.
and I don't know, maybe
We're
get
gonna
him on
go
the podcast.
from rapper to what do you guys categorize yourself as?
Nobody knows.
I don't know.
Me neither. I like it.
It's something
though.
else.
I think that's one of the reasons we decided. 'Cause
Alternative is technically the
Yeah.
area you're gonna fall into. if
So
you-
like we wanted to release a single, but we were also at the same time like, you know, we should release more than a single because you release one track as our first thing, people are gonna expect that.
Yeah,
Those
I'm-
three
I'm,
packs
I'm already
still-
irritated.
yeah.
There's only
you
3
can,
tracks.
Yeah,
so
but
you
those
can
three
release
packs-
you can release the 3 tracks, and you know technically it's still a single if it's 3 tracks or less, like
Right.
you know on iTunes or whatever.
That's
so
the
we're
new
like,
thing is
let's
3
add
packs.
they're pretty 3 different things, so it's like
How long are the songs again?
Like 3 minutes or
Dude,
so.
Yeah, about
Yeah,
3. The
three.
first one's about like 2.
I was
2
gonna
and a
say
half.
because
Something
that's
is.
dude,
Someone's
that's
like
the thing
4,
now.
like
That's
3.
the thing now. You
They're
know,
getting
like,
shorter. The
It's
tracks
all
are
like
shorter.
it's all like minute 59 to like if you're up over 3 minutes and 15 seconds, you're pushing a song now. You're pushing.
Yeah,
it
what are you
to
from
wait for-
1980? Are you Metallica?
Well,
I mean,
because
it's
the
kinda
way
funny
we
'cause,
digest
like,
stuff.
music I mean, like go back to the Baroque period, you know, like Bach or something. It was all about, you know, the songs were supposed to be short, you know, at one emotion. That's why they had these many dance suites. You know, your whole set might be pretty lengthy, but it's like 6 different little short pieces. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to mix the emotions. It was a bad thing.
Which
Then it expanded into, you know, as music went on, these big symphonies, and you know, people are sitting there for 45 minutes listening to one big work, and we've shifted now to where it was like a 3:30. You know, all songs should be about 3 minutes 30 seconds, and it gets shorter and shorter and shorter.
yeah. Which,
It's-
by the way, you did a great job. I listened to that most recent album that you've got on Apple Music and iTunes right now, and the way you said it's like short, like, you know, shorter tracks, like when Bach would do these shorter tracks, and then it's about the emotion. I thought you did like a fantastic job. I was listening to it, and you can't tell the transition from like one note to the next when the track changes. Like you're literally just still playing, but then all of a sudden like the speed or the tempo changes slightly, and like the emotion, you can really tell something changes. Because I was reading like the track titles, and I was listening to it. I was like cooking dinner, and then all of a sudden, the like feeling, the mood I had from listening to one track, I was like, okay, it kind of got me in this like somber mood. And I was cooking, and then all of a sudden, like the next one was a little more like upbeat, and I was like, oh, is this the same track? I never even heard a note get skipped.
Amazing
And
album.
I went
Thank you.
back and looked, and like you literally like one track ends ding ding, and then the next note is the beginning of the next track, and I'm like, there's not a single like space and time that was skipped there, and like all of a sudden like that mood just shifts and changes, and I was like, I've never listened to a ton of piano music. I mean, everyone knows like the class, like Claire de Lune, like all these classical, you know, songs and stuff that are really big.
Twilight.
Hashtag Twilight. But I thought it was something like new and refreshing for me to listen. It was refreshing to listen to something so classical that like had this progression to it that just changed without even like without a hitch. I didn't even notice it change until it was 30 seconds into the song, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this different now? But
What's that
it was good.
process like? Writing that.
You mean like having them kind of like relate to each other? Or
With
flow
that
together,
too, and
or-
just putting anything, just your start, because that's got to be completely different than how you guys are doing what you're doing.
Maybe only because I'm by myself when I do the piano stuff. But
Are you in there freestyling? Or are you just writing it down by note? Like, what's your creative process on making one
I'm
of
still
those?
trying to figure it out. I mean, honestly, it's like I don't know where music comes from. I wish I knew. You know what I mean? Sometimes I can come in and write a whole piece, record the ideas down and then just, move some notes around and polish it up. Sometimes it's just sit there and improvise.
You got to figure
For
out the next
a
note.
few hours, or you know what I mean,
Dude,
it's hard. You know what I mean?
When,
To-
That's always-
if you stay in scale,
For sure, though-
you can probably sit and play. Like if you stay in a scale, like you pick a scale and you stay in it, you could just sit
so
and play
as far
that
as
forever.
all the pieces, like relating together, I think that goes back to my classical background. Like
absolutely.
Chopin preludes. They're all like related by fifth or whatever. They kind of flow into the next one. You can play one prelude and it's a good piece by itself, but you can also play all of them and it's a good half hour of like straight through. And they kind of flow together like one uniform piece. But I don't know. As far as like composing new music or sitting at the piano and coming up, there's not like a real process where I'm like, okay, here's where it's going to go. There's always that fear that maybe it's not going to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, definitely putting a deadline on it, that's what I have to do for
Yeah.
everything. I'm
Dude,
a huge procrastinator. My whole life, like since I was like, in school, and they're like, yes, you shouldn't procrastinate. You're not going to do great work. But I think I did it so long that I got really good at procrastinating. And
I know that.
dude, it's
I can't. My first album I did, I forgot that I was supposed to do it. It was for a fundraiser performance for. It was a Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary. You know what I mean? Like I had planned to do this album release, but like I'd been pushing ideas around in my head and whatever for months. I think I booked it a year in advance or something, and then I realized, oh, that's next week. So
And then the switch kicks.
the album I did in the Navajo piano in 2014, I did it, wrote it, recorded it, got it everything in a week. Because I had to. You know what I mean? I was trying really hard. Like, I'm okay today. I'm I block off this so many days.
But
like,
you
I'm gonna
didn't
get in the
let that
studio, I'm gonna-
outside shit come in, and you
Exactly.
just,
But when I had that deadline, like, oh wait, it's next week.
dude, it's a good point that
It just
I
I
get like
had
that.
to do it. And also there's a point where it's because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna change this and I got to rework this. This isn't where it is. I have to just let it go. Be like, this is what it is. Move on. You know what I mean? Because I could redo the same 3-minute piece for months and months and tweak it.
that was always my problem making beats.
But,
is I
yeah,
can't,
with the deadline, I just
I always
let
go
it go.
back, or if I try to write music,
Yeah.
I always go back. Like, I got to change this, and I got to now. If I freestyle, I can't tell you like we couldn't go back. Like if it's not recorded, it's over. That's it. But I can do impressive stuff with that. And so I record them and I go back and I'm like, okay, I could change this little piece right here.
Yeah.
And it's more fluid when I do that. But my biggest issue with making the beats that I always try to do is I don't have your ability. So when that idea comes in my head, like, oh, if I could go like, dun 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 dun, I can't do that.
Well,
So like I'm
I think one of
limited
the
to
most-
like a loop.
The hardest things is that nothing that I've written or I think that we've done, I think
Yeah.
it's the same for both of us, has ever sounded the way it did in our head.
But you can produce
what I
that
mean?
sound. Like if you know it's gonna,
You just gotta
dun,
like
dun, dun, dun,
be
you
happy
can
with
do
what the
that.
end result is. Like for sure, like I can hear something in my head, like, oh, this is what I want to do. This is what it's gonna sound like, and try to get there. And it's
Dude,
never.
it's an interesting thought. What you
never
brought.
gets-
So that makes me
where I-
feel better.
It never
That
gets
makes
where I
me feel
want it to
better,
go,
though.
but then I'm like, hey, this is an interesting direction I never even thought to take. So I have to just, you got to be
'Cause
happy with where it
when
goes.
we watch you guys do that shit, when you're just completely comfortable on a keyboard like that, that's what bugs me is that I'm thinking, all right, when I'm listening to this bass and I have this other thing and I'm like, oh, if I had this piano right now and I went in doing this, this, and this, in my head I have it, but I can't put it on the keys because I don't understand like where the notes are, how it, and I'll try it and I'll figure it out. It takes me a lot longer. And that's why with loops, if you watch me with loops, I'm the master of taking loops, chopping them, splitting them, and doing like all kinds of changing the instrument of them. Like that's where I get creative on it because that's my way of adapting to the fact that I can't play piano. So I have to, because even with the beat machine, it's the same idea. Like I can't produce what's going on, but I can take this loop and chop it because I know what those notes are. I know what they sound like. I can move it around and then I can make it what I want. And that's what, for me, like there's new programs now that like the neighbor was showing me the other day. So my neighbor, which that's his mic, his stand. Shout out to
Oh,
Jeff
sick. Hell yeah.
Southwick. He's the guy that like that. The reason I got this is because you need one of those, and you got to have. And he gave me aggregate devices to be able to hook a lot of this stuff up to be able to make what I needed to do for interfaces and stuff like that. But he teaches at Peoria. He teaches the Peoria Broadcasting Network for the school. So he teaches kids how to do all the stuff that we're doing. And like just yesterday, you guys ever listen to Wax? You know who Wax is, the rapper?
I
Used to drive around in his
Dakota
car.
showed me that. Yeah.
Listen to his new album because some of the music that you guys are making right now kind of
yeah,
correlates with that
I
new album.
didn't even put that together.
We were
There's a little bit of that
we were
in there.
playing with it yesterday, and he had we were playing one of his songs. All right, and it's very upbeat, and it's a lot of guitar and drum and funk and all this stuff. And he can just jump on his keyboards and just start getting in, which obviously you could tear the shit out of doing stuff like that. But to me, I was just like, if I could do that, if I could figure out how to take that little piece, like, I want to just put this little bit in, and it's not like a individual thing someone taught him like how to do that move and then it works with this song. Like he had to make it work with that song, and then he switched over to his drum set. He's got the whole garage is completely set up to like record an entire thing, and anything that I ever need to know, like he teaches it to me. So shout out to him over there for sure, because he makes it happen even when
Connor,
I'm just missing one thing.
It was a good thing that you brought up like the whole creative process. Sometimes we'll have, just like he said earlier, like our schedules are way off. So when we have time, it's like maybe a day, maybe 2 days, and we'll plan on going into the studio and like writing music. Sometimes we'll go in there and not write a damn thing. You know what I mean? We'll go in there and something will either happen or something won't happen. Like, it's like I wish I knew where music came from too, so we could actually get some shit done. You know what I mean? But
they say that sometimes that shit's just there.
yeah,
Like in the
ether.
like you just no, I'm dead serious. They say like when something just strikes you, like dude that wrote Somewhere Over a Rainbow or whatever, that song, that shit hit him in the middle of the night. He called the place, told him meet me at the spot. He went down there. Dude was like 800 pounds and recorded that shit in like that night and never had nothing after that. And like I'm telling you right now, they say ideas, all that stuff could just be, energy floating in the air. We could get into it.
they say
y'all want to
between 3
do
a.m.
it?
and 4 a.m. That's
Yeah,
what they
man.
say.
Yeah, that's when the freaks come out at night, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm waking up. That's
we
when
usually
Coda's waking up.
we're up
spending
going to
time
work.
out there, spending time in Page, because I'm going to totally shift this for a minute, but spending time in Page, y'all ever see anything up in the sky?
I feel like we see stuff all the time, and it's just kind of like,
Just like, yeah,
It's an
whatever,
asteroid.
dude.
Or
Yeah,
like,
it's a satellite, bro. Like, don't even worry about it. I don't know. Me
I feel like there's
personally,
a lot of stuff here in the valley where you just kind of like assume it's
I almost crashed
planes
last year
or-
because of SpaceX. I thought that shit was.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
shit
did
was
you guys see that when SpaceX
yeah,
was going
what
on?
the hell
That
was
blew my
that
mind.
about?
I was driving, I almost crashed too. Actually, my buddy was like, brakes, and I'm like, hit the brakes. I'm like, what? And he's like, there's a car in front of you. I'm like, yeah, I didn't see it
But
because I've been
there's a
staring at
UFO,
this
bro.
giant funnel thing up in the sky right
Bro,
now.
we used to do that as kids. Like, we'd stand by the road and people would be driving by. We'd just be pointing up. They'd be like, oh, there's nothing there. People would be like fucking looking like, what's up there?
That's where music comes from.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
where
There
it's
it
from.
is.
We were pointing out the next song. It was like right there. We just
was
couldn't
like-
reach it.
It's right there, dude. People slowing down looking.
Because I got a buddy out here that grew up on the res. You know him real
Yeah,
well,
Hicks.
Sean. And boy,
I think
he might just be different though. Like,
he's definitely a little off kilter.
but he's told me like that they see shit out on the res all the
I
time.
know our grandpa's
Yeah,
seen some stuff,
But isn't Hicks? They're up like by Tuba City and stuff. Like it's.
Oh, I don't know the areas. I
That's
just
a-
know like
That's our neck of the woods. man.
that's so our Wildcat Peak's about what 20 minutes
It's like
from
probably
Tuba
a 20,
City?
25
Oh,
minute
okay.
drive
20,
from
30
Tuba
minutes
City,
You
Yeah.
have to see shit out there because that motherfucker is flat as fuck. Except for Wildcat Peak and a couple other little.
I haven't been out there in a minute. There's reasons why, but it's dude.
It's wanted.
Yeah,
Only on the res. I just can't go back on the res.
I just can't go.
He's like, edit this part out of the podcast.
Yeah,
My name was Karen
I had
Snadford.
some weird name out there. I don't want to talk about.
You
it.
sold my house and spent all the money on a crack party. You should have been there, Rhonda. Should have been there.
Sorry, that was loud.
That was,
What you,
Oh, dude, I'm
Yeah.
banging into the table.
girl? What you want?
It's all right. Hey, don't worry. Keegan will just torture himself by editing all this little shit out, all the sounds in the background.
I'm so
Dude.
past that at this point. All this shit's good enough and it sounds good enough at this point.
Just gotta Joe Rogan it, man.
I listen to professional people and I'm like
Not even as good.
trash, dude. It sounds so bad. I listen to podcasts that don't want to put video up, and it's hard for me because I work a full-time job and then come home at night and sit in this room, and it pisses my wife off because I'm in here and I'm grinding away trying to learn Adobe and all this other shit to make this, stand out.
Yeah.
To get, 2 likes, and I get the views. I'm not always worried about that, but it's just the interaction
we don't have as many views as Connor though. I can tell you that.
No, man, share it up, man. Let us get some love. But
I was looking at
it's tough because we definitely put a lot of effort into doing stuff like this. And
I mean,
and
dude,
trying
if
to
you're
find
if you're
people.
doing, there's no way you're not gonna do it. I see it that way. Like if you're doing something, even though it's shitty right now, I think if you keep doing it, no, I'm not saying no. I like the podcast, but like even me,
though what you're doing is pretty shitty right now.
No, like I
That's
put
competition
it in,
right there.
I put it in my perspective because obviously I'm not up to Connor's par. Like I see myself as you know what I mean. So even though I'm kind of shitty right now, like it's gonna get to a point if I keep working at it,
I listen to my first ones. I do. I go back every now and then, just spend a couple minutes listening to
remind
it
yourself how far you've come.
and just see like.
I didn't say you guys were shitty though. Don't take it that way.
No, I like that.
I
though.
don't know. I
Like,
think it's like the process is shitty. You know what I mean? Like you post something out and you, no matter what, like looking back at my old stuff, I try not to. I can't watch my own stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hate
and
it.
there's definitely been like I post a video and it gets a ton of views, then post another one and it gets nothing, and
timing's a lot
that's
to
the
that,
shitty
too.
part.
That's
You know what I
what's
mean?
weird.
Like the fact that you just can't predict what's gonna
Mhm.
happen, and it's great now that everybody has sort of this access to get content out. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But it's
yeah.
also terrible because it's so saturated
It
that
is.
people that they have to sort through the shit
Well,
to find something worth
put it this
watching,
way,
worth
it's-
listening to.
It's so
and-
fucking saturated that we're watching 8-year-old kids open toys online.
So,
but
yeah.
then we got a fucking world class pianist over here that's got
watch the shit out of those
1.1.
videos.
He's got 1,600 views on John Lennon's fucking Imagine, and I'm like, he did a fucking amazing rendition of it.
I
But
forgot that's.
but there's kids opening presents online that are like got fucking 9 billion views.
Well, and that's actually we're starting to review. We're gonna do what do you call that when you like watch the music video and you kind of.
Oh, like reaction videos. And
Yeah,
stuff?
so
Yeah.
the neighbor approached me about it yesterday because he's a teacher and he's 55. I'm about to turn 35 in April. And he was like, I think it would be cool because all my students will pick the music. So they're like 17. And he's like, they're going to pick the music. We'll sit down, we'll film it, we'll watch it, and then we'll have our reaction to it. And I said, honestly, I just want to do it so I know what the fucking good music that's coming out because I'm getting burned out. Like, I wake up ever since it was Wednesday, the new music, or was it Tuesday or Wednesday? The new music used to drop on a Wednesday or a Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
It was always like I would go down to Coconuts back where I'm from. Like I remember when they had the coins, you could get the coins. That was their gift card. Like I would go get 2 new CDs to 3 new CDs every week. I was the music guy in New Hampshire. Like if you had a party CD that was a mix, good chances it was mine. And
now
I made it.
1,000.
And now, yeah, man. And now it's fucking. What do you do? It's Friday. I jump up in the morning on Friday. I pay for Apple Music for my whole family. I'm probably the only one that actually uses it. And I just tear
Yeah, I
through
do
it.
too.
And I try so hard to find stuff. And I'm getting to the point now where I feel like I'm turning into an old man where I'm like, I'm not going to listen to these 6 fucking albums right here. I don't know any of these names. They sound ridiculous.
It's a lot.
And I need somebody to be like, well, you have to watch this and listen
Dude.
to it. Because like I found a artist the other day that St. John was one of them that I heard of him forever and I just wasn't into it. And then I heard it and I was like, this is a new age Kid Cudi. This is great. Like this isn't, I thought it was going to be some trap rap music, that just another one. And I was just like, I didn't give him a chance.
And he's actually decent.
And he's really decent. And that's where, when he sent the music the first day, I was like running around doing stuff. And he like emailed or he texted to me. And I listened to it and I was like trying to go fast. And I was like, I got to listen to this when I get home. Like, I can't listen to this right now. I'm not listening to it. Because I was like, sounds like, I know what it sounds like. And I was like, but I can't put my finger on it. And then when I actually had the time to sit down and listen to it, Like that's what I respect about. Or when I see your little fucking your face tag on an
on
album
Apple Music.
and I'm like, all right, fuck it. He listened to this album. I better listen to it. I'm not gonna be the one that didn't know. But there's not a lot of people like that anymore. That just I strive to find music. Like I still get goosebumps when I hear music.
It was
like, I'm looking for that.
It was a pretty funny conversation when me and Garrett first talked about this. I got my phone in like my breast pocket, my work shirt, and I was listening to a podcast. And he's like, "Hey, what episode you on?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "What episode you on?" Keep in mind, I don't even know his name at this point, but we've seen each other a dozen times, and we always laugh, and we're always like, shooting the shit, being dudes. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm on this episode." He's like, "Yeah, cool, blah blah." And he's like, "Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts." I was like, "Oh, yeah, me too." I'm like, too many probably. I was like, "I actually do a podcast." And he's like, "Oh, you should have me on." I was like,
What's up?
I was like, "Why,
Dakota?
yeah,
I love podcasts,
why the fuck would I have you on the podcast? Like, what do you do?" And then a little while later, he's like, "Yeah, my band, check it out, look it up." And I was like, "All right, I don't want I don't know, is this some kid like that's
shitty ass
is he
YouTube
like
video
doing like trap? Is he doing like trap music? I'm not gonna tell him like, yeah, we'll have you on." I was like, "All right, I'll check it out."
That's what was refreshing.
And then
and
I listened to it, and I listened to all 3 tracks like 2 times all the way through, and I was like, yeah, these guys are good. I think they're good enough.
Dude,
to
I
definitely
appreciate
have
those text messages that you sent me too with the 86040 on the radio, man. It warmed my heart. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was like, I like it. I think we'll definitely have you guys on. So I sent him to him. He's like, "Let's do it." I'm like, "We'll have him on." And then I went down the wormhole of learning about Connor, and I'm like, "Whoa, wait a second. We're about to have like a fucking world-class pianist basically on our hands here."
Have you ever been nominated before?
For Native American Music Awards? Yeah.
You ever won one?
I've won a couple in the past since 2016.
What? Are we a fucking hour in almost? And we haven't got to that yet? Like, god damn, this guy's got a bag of tricks over here. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Big old Santa bag.
That is crazy, man. You are a humble dude. I would have like, where's my carpet? When I roll, y'all ain't rolled the Nammy carpet. All right, it's cool. That's cool.
And
y'all don't know.
Another interesting thing too, aren't you like a registered voter for the Grammys?
Yeah, I'm a voting member.
A voting member. So what does that take? Because to me that sounds like some super like duper cool shit. But are you like one of like just thousands and thousands of people, or is that something that's actually like an accolade?
So there's like a application process you have to submit. I think it takes them like
So most people are too lazy to do the application.
They changed it this past year. It's a lot more strict, but you have to send in basically you have to have so many credits on commercially released music.
Okay.
And you also have to like prove that you actually have a career in music, like send in newspaper articles or programs from your concerts,
newspapers and
stuff,
CDs. How old are you guys?
Dude. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but good for you,
but
man.
You got to send all this stuff, and they review it and they decide like if you can be a member or not. There's voting members, there's like associate members, there's different levels of membership, but the voting members get to actually vote for the nominees and then vote for the winners.
So do you listen through? Are you required to listen through like all categories and vote on all things, or just what you want?
I mean, I listen to as much as I can, and any of the other voting members, it's constantly getting Facebook messages with links and CDs in the mail.
Yeah,
and
check out this one I came across. If you didn't,
you can only vote in so many categories because you can only listen to so much music. I mean, there's so much that's submitted to the Grammys.
If there's 300
and it hinders
hours of
the
music.
Like when you're doing that, that's my other problem. Is like when you're trying to group music together. If say I had 2 album releases, I'm a hip hop guy. Say 2 album releases come out in the same week that he sends me your music. Your music's not going to sound good to me because if it's 2 people that I've been waiting for, that sounds what I'm waiting for. And when I hear that sound, even with an open ear, I'm struggling to hear your sound.
It's hard.
And that's not fair to you because I understand how much work goes into that. So to me, it makes me feel good that you are taking the time to do that because I feel like a lot of people, especially like in our age groups, they're not going to take the time to do all that shit to make sure that they can vote and have a good system in play. Because if not, you just got a bunch of older people that don't give a shit about what's really going on in music. And that hinders you from getting these accolades, which in turn, dude, that turns to money. At the end of the day, like, I'm having a lot of fun in this room, but this is going to turn into money. Like, I'm not doing this just for fun,
some
or we
point.
would only
100%.
do it once in a while.
Yeah.
We're doing this once a week, and I'm consistent with it for a reason. Like, I want to be able to walk to the table with a book of business. And if you want to walk to the table with a book of business and you got 3 Nammy nominations and you've won 2 of them, and that's because the right people were involved in the application processes and they actually took the time. So, dude, that's super important that you explain to these people that if you have that ability to do this, especially at a young age, please take advantage of it, because that's what's really messing up things and allowing it always to be about money, always to be about, like, we all know it's not what you know, it's who you know. But if the right people are stepping in and they're getting themselves in play, that's why we have an issue with Congress. I mean, you don't get the people off the seats.
Last week was a Grammy Advocacy Day for the Recording Academy. It's, you think of the Recording Academy, you think of the Grammys, but they do a lot of other stuff. They do Music Cares. There's a lot of the foundation that does stuff for musicians, and they do Grammy Advocacy where we all meet with representatives on the same day for like the Music Modernization Act that passed, I think, last year. You meet and talk about these issues that aren't talked about in the general population, but for musicians,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
especially independent artists getting like fair pay for fair play. I mean, like AM/FM radios playing, music without paying artists, or
Okay.
yeah.
But that's
There's a
only
ton
that's
of-
only an issue because of streaming. So now that music can get to your fingertips at any point in time, well, now you got to pay me. Before it was like, please, if the radio plays my music, I don't give a shit if it's a podunk state, that doesn't matter. But they played my music, dude,
Yeah.
and it's just people heard it.
I think
Now
it's changed so
it
much. You know
has.
what I mean? It's changed so much, and like the streaming services are paying, but they're paying fractions of a cent. Somebody listens to one of my tracks 100 times, I get like a penny.
Yeah, that
know
was
what I
that
mean?
was that was me last week.
But you know what I mean?
Hey,
So it's different.
you're welcome
and,
for your
Thank
2
me for that.
cents.
Thank me for that fucking
Thank
2
you.
cents.
Dude.
But we talked about that with Damien, is that like the biggest thing I think you need to focus on is your foreign, your overseas people, because that's what he was telling me is his biggest income drive, and all that from his streaming and his numbers really come from overseas.
Oh yeah, like
And it's not always
Norway,
about hip hop.
Sadly, a
Italy.
lot of the foreign countries have better music laws that relate to music and content and paying
Makes
the
more
artists
sense.
than the United States. It's pretty sad. There's tons of money that's not coming back into the United States because we don't have the laws to protect our own artists.
I was thinking just
So-
on the simple platform of like currency, like the euro is worth more than the U.S. dollar, so you go to a U.S. or you don't go do a European tour, and so say they're $20 a ticket in the United States, or they're 20 euros when you go to Europe. It's like you're actually technically making more money in Europe, because when you bring it back and exchange it for U.S. dollars, it's just worth more. Like I thought, even just on that small scale. But
Well,
yeah,
even
all the laws and
even
everything
Wax
aside,
once- he
So-
didn't
so
hit
complicated. Yeah.
like that artist we were talking about earlier, Wax. He didn't hit until he became humongous in Germany. Like once his song Rosanna and another song exploded in Germany, like you watch the crowds that he is selling out and doing his performance in front of, and like, holy shit, you better be Post Malone to be pulling that stuff out here right now, or Drake.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing that. So the fact that these people still have a little bit of that camaraderie, they still want to be out with people, and it's not about a status thing where I'm going to post 10 pictures that I'm at Post Malone's concert and look, he's doing this song on the stage. They're actually there to hear the music and to see the music. Like that's, to me, that's the hardest part, watching all of what's going on and how media works, and how, I even told my wife, like, man, I'm scared more of becoming successful in what we do than actually failing,
Yeah.
because like I'm so fucking stubborn that I'm not conforming.
That's
Like,
an interesting
I'll turn down a ton of money.
That's an
Happy.
interesting topic that you bring up, the whole European thing, because I watched the podcast you guys had with Tragedy, and he brought up that he was popular in I think it was like Italy or something
yeah, it's like
that,
Italy, Norway,
and how
shit
he
like
can
that.
see who's actually listening to his stuff.
Yeah.
Connor's stuff, I think some of our stuff too, his stuff is a lot more popular in, what was it? We put out Car Bomb, and we had how many plays from
From Ireland?
Ireland?
Oh yeah, because it's car bomb, and that's like taboo to talk about car bomb there, because that's like where car bombs came from.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
what the fuck is this song? Like, they were probably, I don't know.
Yeah, you know, there's
definitely like looking at the geographic thing of like where the spins are coming from, who's listening. There's a good amount, you know, in the United States, but there's also a lot in other countries.
Yeah, well, and when you're on Apple Music, you're at your fingertips. It's global. You know, it can be listened to from anywhere. What I was curious about this. How many people approach you, like friend of friends and stuff like that, about making them beats? Do you get that a lot?
You just got one recently.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Just because I would think, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people don't know music. So I grew up playing guitar since I was like, I don't know, 12 years old. I play guitar. I can play some drums, bass. I can't read music. I can't read sheet music. So that's the most impressive thing, you know, for someone that plays piano to me is like, I can only read tablature, you know, which is just the shitty, lazy way of reading music. And reading music,
You can do it though. Like
I think reading music is just totally different. And just you playing piano and you being so, you know, just knowing piano inside and out so well for your entire life, I would imagine that any, you know, local rapper or a friend of a friend that knows a rapper or something, it's like, yo, isn't your cousin like an amazing like keyboard and piano player? Like, can he make me some beats? You know, like I feel like that's something that you would probably run into
easily.
I mean, for sure, yeah, people that need something.
I wouldn't need you to make the beat part. That's my point. Is like I would need you to come in and be like, here's my ideas for the melody. I'm gonna run this beat. Fuck around. And when we catch something,
a drum beat's a drum beat.
Like when we catch something, I'll put all the other sounds in. When we catch something, though, I'm gonna stop you and I'm gonna tell you run with that right there. And that's what I was saying with him yesterday. Like the fact that he could just easily figure that out, like just listening to the beat and just figure out what direction to go into. That's the biggest thing that's always hindered me. And my cousin, like she grew up playing and taking lessons and teaching. And she was supposed to teach me, and I'm so ADHD to sit me down at a piano. Like I'm gonna touch everything, and I can actually make things sound like okay. So I have rhythm in my blood. It's just
it's sitting down and reading a book or something.
I can't read,
dude.
Yeah, I
can't read at all. Like I don't know what anything says in this room. I've been super confused for years. No, but that reading a book's the worst thing for me.
I used to do a lot of open mic nights playing acoustic and singing. So I can play and sing a little bit. I'll have to come over one day and we'll have to get the mic set up and stuff and jam.
All you got to do is at 3:00 when he gets out of work, any day, you come over here on your day off and we'll go over into his garage and he will fucking let us. All the mics are hot all the time. All you got to do is walk up and just spin one. He yelled at me yesterday because we were playing music and he was going along to it and he's like, grab the mic. And I'm like, so I'm singing and I'm doing my thing and my wife comes walking out. I thought I heard you out here.
I do karaoke still all the time too.
We love karaoke. Yeah,
we gotta go do a karaoke night.
You play drums too, Kota?
I can, yeah. I don't like formally play drums.
It's a weird story. The first time I played drums, when I was a kid, I mean, always did music with my dad, all that stuff. Like, but I remember as a kid just beating on those 5-gallon buckets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the first time I actually played a drum set, my buddy in middle school, shout out to Vaughn, we started a punk rock band. We used to play Blink-182 and all that stuff. But the first time I actually sat down on a drum set, there was something about it. I could just play drums. I don't know what it is, but the first time I sat down on a drum set, I could just play it. Like, there's weird stuff like that goes on, like probably with Connor, like when he first got a piano. Like, there's something about music or what you guys do that someone just has that thing that they got going. Like,
I got a buddy like that with guitar that he watched his dad teach his brother how to play bass, and he's hands down one of the most impressive guitarists and has been since we were in 7th grade. That we would be in his house jamming, and like this is a house with like electricity, no stove. They use the wood stove to cook. Like I'm talking in the middle of the woods. They still don't have internet out there.
Dang.
And he would just be over there jamming. And he would like break a pick or break whatever and just grab a CD case and just shatter it and just fucking keep going. And like this kid was so impressive. And shout out to Matt Blouse and Jester's Jig because, man, if I could ever get those fucking guys out here, they're just one of those people that they're just stuck in the woods in Grafton, New Hampshire. And they do shows constantly. Still to this day, they still go, like they'll do a show in a convenience store, and like because stores there are country stores.
Yeah.
They'll do a show in a country store.
Hell yeah.
And they post the shit. and I fucking love it. And he used to do this shit where he'd like take old like 80s movies and he'd like ad lib over the top of them, but he says the most fucked up stuff that you have ever heard, and they're the most humorous things. And I'm like, how are you
Like
not famous? I'll share them with you. I'm gonna pull them up when we're done because they're the most. He says the most fucked up stuff, and but it works, and it's so twisted. But these guys were like this, and I knew from the second I met him, like, you know, when you meet somebody, they're on another level. They're on they're not the same as everybody else. Like maybe bookwork, all that shit, that doesn't matter, dude. Like they're on a level that you will never reach, and you're just lucky to be a part of it. And like same thing with you, man. Like I hope to eventually get to sit down and watch you fucking play on a piano. I used to move a lot of Steinways. I worked for a moving company in Hanover, New Hampshire, which Dartmouth is a very prestigious college, and we used to go to Boston, which this guy worked only on Steinways, and he was the guy that they'd bring the stuff to Hanover. They'd get put on show in this, like, not museum, but like art gallery in Dartmouth, and then they would get moved back to different like cities, and we were the only company to move them. And let me tell you,
that's
touch
no
some
small task, man. Those are some crazy
grand
instruments,
pianos
man.
are so hard to move, and I've moved some uprights, players, and all kinds of stuff. So I've actually touched some pianos that were worth more money than I probably should have touched the piano. You know what I mean? And we were in charge of moving them. And
It's crazy.
And that's when you realize that there's levels. Like when you're looking at something that some dude's gonna sit down and play a song on that's worth well over $1 million.
I mean, he jams on
Well
he
over
jams
$1
on the same
million.
cat piano that my daughter had when she was 3. So
Dude, did she
Bro,
have
that shit was killer.
yeah, we actually had that.
That was the part. That was
we
the
actually
part.
had that
It
same-
blew my mind. I was like, these guys are gonna be so great for the podcast.
So in the video, when you see us in the smoke and fog, the little people don't
The
catch
cactus?
it. No, the little microphone that comes along with.
Oh yeah,
that
with
cat
the
piano.
cat piano.
Dude.
We actually, I'm like, I want to say it's me or one of my really close friends that has like a kid the same age. We have that exact same cat piano. I remember it from like 3-4 years ago.
It was so funny because we were filming this, and I'm such a dipshit, not even connecting in my brain. We're not actually performing it live. It's the music video with the tracks out.
Dude,
but I'm
this
sitting
guy.
here, and I'm like, playing the little cat piano. I'm like, no, we got to do it again. I
not
played
playing the
the wrong
fucking right
notes.
notes.
I played wrong note. And they're like,
No, fucking, you're
There's-
absolutely
there's-
right. Because if I knew the
I
notes,
guess-
I'd have picked you apart on this fucking thing.
obviously, probably nobody's going to be like,
You're like, first of all, there's 16 notes on here.
Nah,
He said he was
I'm
a prodigy.
We got to do it again. I played the wrong notes on the keyboard that's not even
We had to
turned
do another
on.
fucking take, dude.
Yeah, we got to do
What
another
did you shoot it with?
iPhone.
I knew
iPhone.
it.
I knew it.
Did
I
you use a
called
gimbal?
that earlier.
I just want to recommend a gimbal if you're not using one.
We have one.
You have one
Yeah.
because
We
those
have
things.
a couple, but
Those things are like he's actually got another thing that we're talking about using in here. And my next thing is a Mevo. Have you guys seen the Mevos?
No.
I haven't seen that.
So
don't think
basically, it's about 3/4 of the size of this, and there's a Sony 4K lens in it. And what it'd do in this room is it would shoot this whole room. I'm giving up all the secrets right now. What we're about to do.
I did see.
Shoots the whole thing
Yeah.
wide, and we can hit 9 boxes on it. So like
Yeah.
I could hit each one of our faces, and then I can create how much pan I want around
Oh,
it.
it's like a rounded lens, basically like a fisheye kind of.
Kinda. It's an ultra wide lens, so it's not
Yeah.
rounded, so you're still gonna get a straight effect in the room.
Yeah.
But what it's gonna do is it'd pick this whole room up. We could get each face. We could zoom it into certain directions
The beauty
so
of
that
4K.
step high, my friend, step high, or go low. That's fine too.
Or just climb under.
Yeah, I know. I apologize for those of you that don't know. This is not the mansion.
Oh, we lost video.
We lost video. It's okay. I can fix it. With this world, we can rebuild. Go to the bathroom. Here, let's take a break. All right, we're back. We're human, and yeah.
Sorry,
you
guys,
know,
I fucked that one up.
We oh yeah, he tumbled the whole tumbled the whole thing. But now I
It was
know
all
that
Garrett's fault.
that thing wasn't even recording for a while. So
Baby tumbles.
welcome to the cloud.
With that camera that's over here, we should definitely, when Garrett was crawling through there and tripped it up, we should definitely leave that in the video where you see it like, ooh.
Oh, the tip
Well,
and
and then
fall.
when I pick it up,
I was crawling like a girl, too.
That'll be the cover photo.
that should be the thumbnail. Yeah,
I can do that. I like that.
me looking at the camera.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it, dude. I need to get verified on Instagram or something because I noticed now they can put the little dot with like your YouTube, your Spotify, and I'm not there
How
yet.
do you do that? How do
You got to
get-
have a blue check.
I don't know, Connor. How do we do that?
So
You got a blue check yet?
no.
You see, that's
I
hard to
neglect
get.
it.
This,
So,
dude's, this
honestly,
dude's fucking trash. Fuck that.
It really doesn't have to do with how many followers you have or anything. It just has to do with how likely you are to be impersonated with like a fake account.
Oh, that
Oh,
makes
really?
sense. So you probably could
We
pull
could
that
have
off.
Grit, you know, Grits has a check mark. We can ask him.
I don't know that
Yeah,
anybody's trying
I gotta-
to pretend to be me, but
I got a couple. People with checks.
I mentioned this earlier, but just for the listeners, I think it's really interesting that out of the 3 guests we've had so far, we've had Damien Tragedy, the rapper, on. I think out of Phoenix, or I know he's out of Phoenix. I don't know if he's born there. And then we had Gritzmacher on, which is from Page, Arizona. And now we have these guys on, which are from Page, Arizona.
PJZ.
Shout out
Which-
to Paige,
which-
man. Y'all
Shout out to
producing
Paige,
some
yeah.
fucking winners out there.
Other than us living in Arizona, we have no connection to Page whatsoever.
Bro,
so it's
they
kinda,
got winners out there, man.
And it's not like we found you guys
You know
in
what-
Page.
you know
You guys
what?
have all been down here.
Let me tell you what I think that correlates to is a little bit of struggle. It's a little too easy here in the city, man. You can go on any corner and all the shit's there on every single corner, and half of them it's brand new.
which one?
Any corner. It's crazy. You can even go. Let me tell you, Indian school is a lot. McDowell and Indian school are fun to ride around at about 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. I just want to tell anybody.
Yeah.
But
Good tacos down there.
But for real though, like I think, you know, growing up in New Hampshire, it's you gotta grind to get what you want. And I think that it, you know, diamonds pressure, bro. Like I'm not gonna put the whole thing together, but you know what it when you're in an area that it's not there's just not everything's not going on. And like you don't just feel like another person in the pile when you really are just in this area that it's your space. It's your space. Like it's hard to be your space down in Phoenix. Like it might be your space when you think you're there, and then somebody else shows up. It's their space more.
I mean, for me, even though I'm not doing anything crazy right now, I'm working for the beer company with you, Kota, but
Not with me.
just
against
not with
me.
you. Yeah,
Competition
fuck
over
you,
here.
Kota. But
So wait, you're a Coors guy? I'm
Coors
guessing.
guy, man. I'm a Coors Miller guy,
that shit gives
man,
me a
but-
headache. So
But just being fed up, you know what I mean? Just being
I
like, you know
Miller,
what?
So
Just being like, I'm gonna go do something now. Like I'm done with this small town vibe. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There's something about this. I don't know.
No,
that,
you gotta
that probably
grow
goes,
out-
that
you
probably
grow
goes
out of
back to
it.
why you got
Yeah.
kicked out of Page, but we don't.
Yeah,
need to get
that's
into
why
that.
I
you
mean, they
can't be-
kicked me out of there too, but whatever.
we have him here, officer. Come find him. No, it's a cool thing.
It's because they closed the Windy Mesa like
Dude, they
last 2
closed
months
the
ago.
Windy
Yeah.
Mesa. You guys don't know
Can't
about
go
I don't
that.
know what that is.
What's that?
Dude,
It's closed.
It's iconic.
it's iconic.
Well,
that's it.
tell us what the fucking Windy Mesa is.
It was iconic.
It is. Well, yeah, they closed down. I thought like I'm pretty sure they built the town around the Windy Mesa. It's just a dive bar in Page. Like it was like the bar in Page.
Okay.
You know, you go to hear bands. It's like you know.
Why'd it close?
I played there for a little bit. Played a cover band with a couple friends, but
Nice.
Yeah.
you guys just had to be there. Like the vibe.
There's
that
no
puts
really,
off-
you know, look for the Facebook page of it, and maybe you can get a little bit of the vibe.
It'll
but-
be like the
So it's just- it was just a
remembrance. It'll be
bar-
like a remembrance
It's
page.
just a bar and Page.
I mean, when a page is as small as it is, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a memorial page now.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't mean to
That's
do
why.
that. It
That's
just
why Garrett's not going back to Page.
yeah.
Windy Mesa's gone.
I'm done.
So
yeah.
just so you know, a Miller Lite won me $100
really
over the weekend or
How
last
was
week.
that?
So we're at this big conference for my work that I was at last week, and at the end of it, you know, you got to go see all these vendors. It's a big, what do they call that? Like a trade show type thing, but it's only for my company. So all the vendors come in and they get these booths, and you got to go around to all these people, and they give you a stamp book with every booth, and you got to get a stamp in every booth, and then at the end of it, if you have all the stamps, they give you 10 tickets. And you fill your name out on them, and you put them in these iPad with the ear pods and the home speaker and a new iPad or a computer, and it's prizes. At the end, dude flips the money out, like, hey, okay, everybody didn't win. We're going to put all the names in this thing, and we're going to pull it out, win cash. Well, while he's doing it, he's like, now this is on a stage of like 1,000 people in the room. It's on a big stage, 2 huge screens on both sides. It's being filmed with like TV cameras. So it's legit. Like it's legit. You can see everything super magnified on both screens. And the guy goes, first person to bring me a Miller Lite gets $100.
And that was you.
You had
So
one
I
in your
jump
pocket.
up. I didn't. So I jump up. The bar is right behind me because it's all open bars around the back of the room. I jump up. I run to the chick. I'm like, give me a Miller Lite. Some guy comes running with a Miller Lite in his hand.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, I lost.
I would have
He's
chopped
like-
him in the neck. And
Oh, he
taken
was
it.
like, wait, it's a massive convention center room. It's huge. So I'm like, fuck, I lost. And he goes, well, I don't want your beer. I want a freshie. So I turn around and run back to the bartender.
Dang.
I'm like, give me the Miller Lite. Well, one of the branch managers runs by me, grabs the display. They had all the beers on display on top of the bar. And he grabs a Miller Lite. He takes off running. He's an ex-football player about my size, or my age. And he books it. So I get the Miller Lite. I start running full steam. He goes to run up the stairs on the stage
Trips.
and biffs it. And fucking, so he enters the screen level and like just biffs it into the stage. Doesn't spill the beer. Holds the beer up, and it's a warm one.
Good man.
And it doesn't even like over foam. Crazy, right?
Damn.
So I run past the stage, and I'm like, ha, laughing at him as I'm running past the stage, and I like jump, like, it's almost this high up off the ground. I jump up on the stage, give him the beer. All these people crowd him, and like we're arguing. I'm like, mine's cold, yours is warm. Get the fuck out of here with your
foaming
foaming.
too, huh?
Oh, I could feel it. I could feel the radiance
sensed
off
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
You
no
grabbed the
sweat-
display,
There's
bro.
no sweat on this
That
thing.
fucking was the display. So anyway, the guy flips out a bunch of $100 bills and flips us 100 each to bring a Miller Lite like 15 feet across the floor for me. So I went into that whole week with like $90 to spend on drinks that night, and I walked out with 100. So I made out with
So
the
what-
Miller
She
Lite.
did
So
good.
shout out to Miller Lite.
What's up with Coors? It gives you a headache, huh?
Actually, alcohol in general.
All right,
I'm like kind of allergic to a lot of alcohol.
Yeah,
And
I have
I
a buddy
get
like that.
fevers all night.
You
So,
turn
like,
red and stuff like that?
I don't turn red, but at the end of the night when I go to sleep, like you
Sounds
can't
racist.
sleep. Like it's like burning, and I
I
don't
don't
sleep.
turn red.
Yeah.
But there was something else you do with red.
Yeah.
It's red.
So it's a weird thing. It just started happening when I turned like 30, 31. It started
Get
to
headaches.
affect me, and just recently I found out that I can drink Bud Light.
I have a
And
buddy like
I
that.
was so
and-
Because you know
embarrassed.
why
I was
it's
like-
made from rice.
So it's the gluten-free thing. I have a buddy just like that, and he used to drink Coors with me, but he only drinks Bud Light. because
And my
it's
wife drinks Coors.
the rice
Instead of
bullshit.
It's
instead of
weird.
being like wheat.
And it bums me
Yeah,
out because
and
I
barley.
used to drink all the dark beers. Like this is gonna affect me. I can already feel like I'm getting like if you just ate a bunch of hot sauce, like when you start to radiate heat, I can already feel it right now just
I
from
forgot to
drinking.
bring you guys a bottle
and I'm
of hot
like
sauce.
halfway through this, so.
Oh yeah.
But
bring you one to
vodka
work.
does that to me too. Some other I can drink vodka and I can drink tequila if it's certain kinds, and
What's your favorite vodka?
to not feel sick now is Stoli.
Dude, so I never liked vodka, but fucking hate vodka. But when Tito's came around, I don't know what it is about Tito's, man. There's something
You
about
knew a
Tito's.
guy named Tito, didn't you?
I knew some Puerto Rican named Tito, so I was like, dude, I'll try it out. You know what I
He
mean?
brought it in across the border. He was like, yo, bro, I got this Tito's, man. No, Tito's isn't bad.
Tito's is good.
It tends to affect me. I can drink Ciroc, but I don't want to pay for it. Stoli, for some reason, is okay. It's super weird, man. I hate the
Stoli's
fact.
a great vodka.
Who owns that Ciroc? Who's that? Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
Is it Jay-Z or Puff Daddy?
No, it's Diddy.
Did he?
Damn.
Did he or did he not start
Yeah.
Ciroc?
He didn't start it. He just was an investor.
Did he?
Diddy, not Puff Daddy.
What
P.
about
Diddy.
Pop, Diddy pop?
you know what vodka I really want to try is that Crystal Skull. That Dan Aykroyd shit.
Dan
Yeah.
Aykroyd, man.
Yeah.
If none of y'all watch the
I
podcast,
watched the podcast for sure. Yeah.
Oh,
bro, that one had me.
He's
Did you
he
watch the
sold
last
it.
one with
He
Rogan?
sold it.
Which one?
With the pilot from the.
Yes. And I watched the whole thing. Pretty good.
I'm just gonna say right now, like, I had like a 10%, 15% doubt, like, maybe there's not, and we're just crazy. But I also have been believing we've been living in a simulation for a while,
Yeah.
so that shit fucked with me a lot too.
Go through
But
phases.
but after hearing that guy talk, I'm like 99% because even Lazar made me feel kind of like.
Dude, it's weird.
I
We're in a
can't
time.
tell, but that dude right there, like when you listen to somebody talk and you just like, he ain't fucking lying.
It's weird that we're in a time right now that it's actually coming out. Like it's coming out now. Like we're hearing about it.
Well, it's
like,
scarier that we're actually in a time
I'm surprised
that
it's still being
it's
held.
been hidden back for so long because it was already out.
That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised
Like
it's
the
able to
fact
be
that they
held back.
wrote scripts. They painted pictures that, like, huge pictures. There's one with Christ on the fucking, they showed it. There's
Yeah,
Christ
yeah,
on
yeah.
the thing. There's fucking people and literally those same style of ships floating around with fire behind them. And then you got, there's multiple. There's like a dude in the fire. Like, with music, anything that you put in there is pretty much on purpose. Like, if you finish that note at the end of that song and start it on the new song and it blends, you did that shit on purpose. Once in a while, it's lucky, but for the most part, it's on purpose. When you draw a fucking weird thing in the sky and a dude in the far background staring up at the sky,
Staring at it.
like there's so many things that it was so open that it's kind of like now when you hear them talk about it and they're like, all right, they told us those fucking things were out there, right? We told them that they were there. Nothing happened. So what that tells me is either one, it's ours, or two, it's so powerful and you know about it and understand it that you're not fucking with it. It's like the big dude on the block that you're just not gonna fuck with him. Like we have all these rules around all this other shit. You jam our shit, that's an act of war. I'm firing on you, right?
Yeah.
Except you.
One thing I took from that last Joe Rogan podcast with the pilot was he announced that a lot of people know about this stuff. They have no platform to put it out there.
They don't want to look crazy.
Right. Yeah. Because people legitimately, like, even small shit, people would be like, dude, this guy's a fucking weirdo. You know?
But there's a lot of weird shit, like what he was saying, like he used to go over campfires. I don't know if you heard that part. He says at a certain part, like, he used to fly one of the airplanes or the Raptors or whatever. It wasn't the Raptor, but it was one of the other ones. Yeah. He'd fly it over like areas where they knew there was a bunch of fucking campers, and he would come in and cut all the engines and come in and float and then go on it on a vertical. And so it would look like he was hovering over the top of them, and then he'd fucking rock the afterburner. So it would be completely silent. And then they would come over your campfire and go vertical, and then fucking crank the afterburners and take off. So he's like, it's guaranteed alien reports every single night. So they literally he's like, oh yeah, we all used to do it.
We used to fuck with people.
He admits it. He's like, we used to do it all the time. He's like, but
that's awesome.
That thing that I saw, like he explained seeing the Tic Tac thing, right? And he gets down to it, and they deploy him out. And they're supposed to go on like an active training simulation, right? And with the Marines. But the Marines have been tracking this shit for like a week or two. And they don't say shit to them until they're headed out. Not hot. They have no weapons. It's like fake shit. They're just training. They tell them, hey, we got to go check this thing out. You know, these have been popping up, but not when we're out. So they go out and they see the thing, and it's like hovering over the water doing all this crazy shit. Yeah. And so he like dips down, leaves the other Raptor or whatever. What's it called?
I think he called it a Hornet.
It was the Hornet. Yeah. It was a Hornet. So he leaves the other Hornet about 6,000 feet above him.
Is that a jet or a cop jet?
It's our fastest fucking whatever that we have. He drops down 6,000 feet and starts heading toward it, and he says it's about a half a mile to it, which is not very far when you're in one of those planes.
When you're moving at 300 miles an hour or
right.
whatever.
Zip. Fucking thing flips and faces him and disappears. Now, they had it on radar. They had a fucking plane 6,000 feet above it watching it.
Gone.
And he's watching it head on, and it disappeared, and where they were supposed to go do the training was about 40 miles out from where the dock was. And it showed up there about 5 seconds later. 40 miles.
How long?
And they got it on radar.
How long is it going to take until they're finally, like, the U.S. government's going to be like, all right, dude, check this alien out. Here they are. How long?
But why? That's the biggest question you got to get back to yourself is why are they here? What are they doing? Why are you fucking around in certain areas? Like, why are you coming out of the water? Because if you're really doing what we think you're doing with Element 115 or whatever, and you're breaking all that. Maybe they're looking at production of what's growing from somewhere, similar to who knows.
Got down.
Dude, I feel like it's a whole other podcast, like the Navajo, like the ant people connection to like.
That's kind of what I was trying to dig you.
That's like a whole nother.
I would love to bring you guys back on for that because, dude,
sure.
That's kind of what I was leaning toward because there's so much. There's no wash. Like, there's no, I don't like to say whitewash because, it sounds like we did some fucked up shit. But there's no whitewash over your history. Your history stays intact. And that's why I love the Asian culture, other than China, who has just abolished all that shit. And the only thing you see from that is such progression. But at the same time, like, to what end? Like, y'all are fucking killing people on a mass scale. The most pollution that goes into the air is out of your country. Like,
dumping shit in the ocean and shit like that.
Yeah, so they've embraced it where we're embracing like this new thing, but we're still trying to hold on a little bit to the old. They're like, no, fuck that. Wipe the old. We're starting with the new, and we're gonna surpass. So it wouldn't even surprise me if they had those things. Like it wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe they're just scared. Maybe it scared the fuck out of them. So they're like, just everything in, put people in prison, fucking keep it all in the hush.
What happens if they do? If somebody else has that technology, and they're just waiting? You're fucked. We're fucked. If anybody's if anybody can figure out how to warp gravity, like at that point, you can go into the water. Technically, you could go into a fucking volcano.
Wildcat Peak.
Wildcat Peak.
That's my point, though.
Wildcat Peak is a volcano.
I'm pretty sure y'all are aliens.
I've
That's
been-
kind of what I'm getting at.
If we didn't mention that,
All right,
I've been thinking about this.
Are y'all aliens?
We are actually.
I fucking knew it.
We
But
didn't
not,
say our
like,
plans
not
yet,
like illegal
but
aliens, like aliens that were probably here before.
We're legal.
We're legal.
Legal.
From
Legal
Wildcat Peak.
aliens.
So I was thinking about this while you're talking the whole time. Like it's kind
Y'all
of
need to make a
kind of
shirt.
disappointing earlier. when we were
Wildcat
like,
Peak,
Have
legal
you guys
aliens.
seen any stuff in the sky while you've been out there, other than like when you're tripping on peyote and mescaline and
I never
mushrooms?
trip on anything out when I'm out there. It's
Yeah,
just kind of
it's
a
You just tripping on nature.
Like you don't trip on that stuff either. It's like that's a whole,
Mushrooms
like,
is nature.
I mean,
But no, like, so I was thinking, like, it's kind of funny. It's disappointing. We were talking about them being in nature, and they're like, no, we ain't never seen shit out there. I'm like,
No,
all right.
I mean, like,
But
you
hey,
see
hold
stuff all
on.
the time.
This might be something iconic and something we can get back to. Part of fate. Maybe we need to go on a little trip to Wildcat Peak, and we need to go up there.
A spirit journey, an adventure.
Spirit journey.
So no joke. Yeah, a couple days ago, my dad just moved down to Phoenix. He got transferred from the plant. They shut it down in Page. They're all down in the valley. So he came yesterday. Was his first day actually.
Oh wow.
And he was telling me, he was like, yeah. So did I ever tell you about that time that your grandma saw something come out of the sky and hit the ground down at Wildcat Peak, and it left this big track mark, and she went to investigate, and
Our next
it was
guest
this
on the
big,
podcast.
it was this big rock, and it was she couldn't lift it. It was hot. I'm like, oh, so she saw a meteorite. Yeah, obviously. I'm like, did you go get it? He's like, no, actually, I never thought to. It's probably still there. I'm like, do you know how much meteorites are worth? Like,
right?
you're trying to buy a new house right now? Let's go find that Let's go back out to Wildcat Peak this weekend.
The meteorite and the iron and the metals that are inside the thing, the alloys.
Like literally extraterrestrial
we
iron.
We literally make like one kitchen knife out of it and sell it for like $24,000, and boom, your dad can buy it. You put a down payment on a house.
Yep.
Let's go.
Anyway, but there's all sorts of weird stuff.
I think your dad's
the
the next guest in the podcast. We're gonna talk about aliens.
He's here now. He's here.
here,
now.
yeah.
He's in the valley. He's
Dude,
in the valley now.
I love having those alien conversations.
Dude, that's because Keegan looks like an alien.
I've probably got a little bit of that alien in me. You know what I'm saying?
Who did
He
it?
fucked an octopus.
Well,
Dude,
my mom was fucking around in Vegas back then in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like 70s, 80s. She was a model.
I mean,
you don't know what was going on back then. This is
I know those mermaids could hold their breath for long. Those fake mermaids.
fucking Men in
Out in the
Black was
desert.
they was tramping around back then. They might have just hooked her up.
You have an alien.
I'm gonna call my dad. I think he's an alien.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, all right. This has been actually probably one of my favorite, most fun podcasts that I've had. These guys are fucking awesome.
Appreciate you.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Thank you for having us on.
Hands down, there's no doubt that y'all will be back on soon. And
Probably
just don't
Connor's
charge
dad.
me a fee when y'all motherfuckers have to come back. Because
Nah.
we're going to put the shit on the page, and I'm going to push these people. We need to vote because I like this music. And I like getting that vibe again. Because growing up in New Hampshire, like that's the other thing we didn't really touch on too much. That's the type of shit I grew up on. Like I grew up in New Hampshire, like I had to introduce rap to a lot of my friends, and like not that they didn't know what it was, but like to be able to listen to it at a party and stuff like that. Like we grew up on the type of music that you guys are playing. Don't stop, because everything works in cycles. And this trap and this rap and all this other stuff is very popular over the last 10, 15 years. And it's starting to look at the biggest artists are literally shifting themselves into those categories. You got Post Malone. The biggest hit over the summer was a fucking country rap song. All right, so do not be deterred. Please continue to be yourself, which I know you guys will.
We appreciate
and
you.
make the
Thank
music that you guys are making,
you so
because
much.
it is fucking awesome. and Wildcat Peak, y'all.
Yeah,
is
hop
the
on
Bernie Dyke podcast.
Hop on YouTube, hop on Apple Music, iTunes,
Oh,
look
yeah.
up Wildcat
Please,
Peak.
give us your plugs.
Look up Connor Chee. He's got an entire library of music on Apple Music. He's got stuff on YouTube that he probably forgot he posted from like 9 years ago. He's got some. He's got some great covers of like Rihanna and then John Lennon.
You got Rihanna.
Elton John.
yeah.
He's got Stay.
Oh, no, I literally don't remember.
That was
I
my
mean, that's
sister
like a-
that
That was
sang
your
that
sister?
song.
Yeah,
That was my
sister,
sister
yeah.
that
So
sang
his
that song.
cousin. You guys still
Yeah.
spotlight
My
her.
cousin's sister, yeah.
My cousin's
That's like-
That's what you call it, like Navajo. Like it's a funny thing.
my
Like you know,
sister.
like my brother, it's like my sister, but like you talk to like somebody like not Navajo, you be like, oh, my cousin or my cousin's sister.
But you did a couple Elton John covers, which I thought you did a phenomenal job on.
Did you do the Crocodile Rock? Because I love the Crocodile Rock.
No, he didn't do that. He did the one.
next week.
All right, I'm in.
But no, so check out Connor Chee, Apple Music, YouTube. Check out Wildcat Peak, Apple Music and YouTube. They only got a couple songs, which is disappointing, but just
And all
deal
you
with it.
ladies out there, go follow Garrett.
Yeah.
Hey,
Wait, are you married?
Hey.
You got a girl?
I got a girl. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I
don't
got a
follow
girl.
Garrett. Leave him alone. All you dudes out there, follow his page. All right, don't be
Appreciate you.
doing that. We
Check
don't want to
them
get him in
out.
trouble.
Check out the Bernie Dyke podcast. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. If you made it this far to the end of the podcast, you guys are
Hi, Mom.
amazing. yeah, hi, mom. At that point, not my mom.
My mom's
Somebody.
definitely. She
Somebody.
doesn't watch podcasts so much, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well-
check everything out. These guys are awesome. We're pretty awesome. Everybody on this table is pretty dope. We got some great beers. We got great people. We're doing all the things right. We got great music. We got great recording. We got great podcasts. Check
Shout out
everything
to Spotify, YouTube viewership, Facebook viewership, all my people out there that just like to talk shit. Hit me up, man. And if you have anybody that you think should be on the show, then we ain't going to let them on. So don't even bother. No, I'm just kidding.
Invitation
Just-
only.
Yeah, send it through. And again, please, we're going to have the page up to go vote for their Nammy nomination. That's a fucking huge
Yeah,
deal.
we'll-
So
we'll-
please.
so much.
We'll
Take
post
the
up their
time.
music videos. We'll post links for some of their music to check out. If you just type in Connor Chee on Google, I'm surprised he doesn't have a Wikipedia, but if you just type in Connor Chee on Google, you can find everything out you want
It's
to know
going to
about
say he's
him.
a karate master. and
Yeah.
fucking
Trained
The
with
other
Bruce Lee and
Connor
shit like
Chee,
that.
Black
there's
belt.
one in every city.
That's spelled ER. He
Gracie
rocks the OR.
Jiu-Jitsu.
And he's definitely not Asian, all right? He's American,
He's-
all right?
thought he's Puerto
That's a
Rican.
whole nother story.
They're actually more American than we are. So
Well, man, and, thank you guys for coming out. We really appreciate it. And, fuck, man, we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Hope so. Thank you. Thank you. guys.
BDP out.